the Fourth and Long Fantasy Football Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fourth and Long Fantasy Football Show. My name's Justin. Episode 62 today. Week 13 is come and gone, and we're on to Week 14. On today's episode, I'll give you a few of my Week 13 reactions, then I'll get into my waiver wire targets and my starts of the week for Week 14. Now, as a reminder, I'm releasing these weekly shows on Thursday mornings, getting you prepared with my weekly recaps, waiver wire ads, and my starts of the week. Your time is valuable, so let's get to it.
On today's show...
All right, so for today's show, I'll start by giving you a couple quick reactions to Week 13. Before I get there, though, if you secured a playoff spot in your fantasy league, congratulations. If you're still in the hunt, good luck. Most leagues start their playoffs either next week or the week after. We're full steam ahead, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start this week's show by talking about Patrick Mahomes. This has been going on long enough to have me concerned, folks. Patrick Mahomes isn't performing at the fantasy level we've become accustomed to. 5 of the last 6 weeks, Mahomes has been no better than quarterbacks you could have gotten off the waiver wire. What's up with that, right? There's two things going on here. First, his receivers aren't doing him any favors. Mahomes is near the top of the league in drop passes. And both Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce as superstar pass catchers are top 10 in the league in drops. I feel like whenever you watch a Chiefs game, there are at least 5 catchable balls that just bounce off his pass catcher's hands, and some of those lead to turnovers. In addition, the Chiefs' defense has been really great the last month and a half, which means that Mahomes doesn't have to air the ball out 40 times a game. Now, yes, it's great for the Chiefs as a football team, but for fantasy managers, Mahomes is performing pretty badly right now. You can't sit him, right, because he's Patrick Mahomes, but you can't feel confident starting him like we have in years past. Next, Diontae Johnson's dominance. After a drop-filled 2020 campaign, some were off the dynamic wideout heading into the 2021 season, but Johnson has improved once again and is becoming one of the most reliable and consistent young wideouts in fantasy football. Week 13 was no different as Diontae Johnson single-handedly won the game for the Steelers with a late touchdown catch to keep the Steelers in the playoff hunt. And he finished the week with 8 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns, an absolutely dominant showing from the young wideout. He's seen double-digit targets in all but 2 games this season, and he sits comfortably inside the top 10 for scoring at the wide receiver position. Now, news did break that Roethlisberger may be retiring after this season, so it certainly clouds Johnson's longer-term outlook. But if I have him this season, I'm feeling pretty damn confident as we reach the fantasy playoffs. He's a surefire wide receiver 1 rest of season. And then finally, I've got confidence in Van Jefferson. Ever since Bobby Trees was lost to a season-ending injury, Van Jefferson has slowly become the wide receiver 2 for the Los Angeles Rams offense. I've really liked what I've seen from the second-year wideout over the last few games. In Week 13, he saw 8 targets, the second highest target share of the passing game behind Cooper Kupp. Now, yes, Odell Beckham Jr. has entered the picture here, but there's plenty of mouths to feed in this offense, and Jefferson should continue to see 8 targets a game moving forward. I like Van Jefferson as a wide receiver 2 with weekly upside every week from here on out. He should be in your lineups. All right, let me get into my waiver wire ads for the week for Week 14. Before I get there, though, my ads for last week included Alexander Mattison, JaMycal Williams, and Taysom Hill. Not a bad week last week. This week's a bit tougher, though. I'm going to get my waiver wire list started with a wide receiver, and it's going to be Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Russell Gage. Russell Gage has been operating as the number 1 wide receiver for this Atlanta Falcons offense the last few weeks. He's been putting up respectable numbers. Defenses are routinely double-teaming Kyle Pitts and focusing on running back Cordell Patterson, and that's leaving Gage with some favorable looks here. He's a floor play wide receiver 3 going forward, and in deep leagues, he should be started as long as Ridley remains out. Next on my list, I'm going to go with the running back, and it's going to be San Francisco 49ers running back JaMycal Hasty. This San Francisco 49ers running back room is really banged up right now. Trey Sermon is on IR, Elijah Mitchell is in the concussion protocol, and Jeff Wilson Jr.'s knee flared up in Week 13. If both of those guys are unable to go, Hasty could be in for a sizable workload this week. And if you're desperate for a running back, which most teams are these days, go grab Hasty and say a prayer he's the only show in town for Week 14. And then finally, the last guy on my waiver wire list for today is going to be a wide receiver, and it's going to be New England Patriots wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. People are going to be off Bourne this week after the Patriots ran the ball at a historic pace against the Buffalo Bills in those weather conditions Monday night. Those managers that started Bourne in Week 13 may drop him after his dud. And I would gladly scoop up Bourne as he's shown on multiple occasions to be one of Mac Jones' favorite targets. Don't believe that what New England did this past week is what they're going to do every week. It was a culmination of bad weather and a good running game. Bourne is worth a roster spot. All right, let me get into my starts of the week for Week 14. Last week, I had quarterback Tom Brady, running back Alexander Mattison, and wide receiver Keenan Allen. All those guys were terrific starts last week. For Week 14, I'm going to get my starts of the week list started with a quarterback, and it's going to be New Orleans Saints quarterback Taysom Hill. Now, I had Taysom Hill on my waiver wire list for last week, and if you happen to start him in week 13, you were pretty happy with the outcome. Even though he injured his finger, threw 4 interceptions, he still finished with over 20 fantasy points, primarily because of his 100-yard rushing game. I talked a lot about his rushing upside last week. If that's his floor, I want it. Going against the lowly Jets defense in week 14, I'm starting Hill with confidence. Next, I'm going to go with a running back, and it's going to be Denver Broncos running back Javonte Williams. Now, this will be dependent on Melvin Gordon missing another game, and if he does, Javonte Williams is a top 5 running back going against the Detroit Lions defense. Javonte broke out on Sunday Night Football this past week, showcasing his contact balance and tackle breaking ability. I like the future for the North Carolina product. Start Williams with confidence. He could be a league winner. And then finally, my last start of the week is going to be a wide receiver, and it's going to be Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs. I think the Bills are going to come out angry this week against the Bucs. Will really want to prove a point here. This game should be a lot of fun with a lot of points scored. Diggs was the only respectable wide receiver performance on Monday night in those weather conditions against New England. And if he didn't drop that long touchdown, he would have been one of the top wide receivers this past week. Pretty impressive given the conditions. I'm starting Diggs in a blow-up spot against Tampa this week. So that'll do it. Please remember to comment and like on this video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. This has been the 4th and Long Fantasy Football Show. Good luck this week, everybody. See you next week.
Royalty-free music courtesy of Ben Sound. The views and opinions expressed on today's episode are that of the 4th and Long Fantasy Football Show. Remember to like and subscribe.